All right, check, check, 1, 2. Here we go. Wednesday. You know what time it is? It's 7 p.m. Every Wednesday we do the Mauricio Mejia live. And we're just coming off of a big week last week. I want to say thank you again to my friend, mentor, business partner, and looking forward to doing some big things with him, Stedman Graham, last week. Wow. What an amazing show. What an amazing experience going through everything that I went through last week, and I'm very excited on just a lot of the great things that are coming up ahead, and I'll be sharing with you more down during the show. Just want to do a quick reminder. This is Mauricio Mejia Live, episode number 11. It's every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you that don't know Pacific Standard Time, that means California, West Coast. Eastern Standard Time is New York, East Coast. You never know. Got to explain it sometimes. Broadcasting live every Wednesday on Facebook, YouTube, and starting next week, I'm very excited about this great opportunity. I'm a co-founder of a media company called Latin Live. We are Latin Live. You can look us up, and we're going to be broadcasting live now on Latin Live, which is super, super exciting because we got over 5 million active users worldwide, and over 300,000 followers on our social media platforms. So that's going to be super exciting to be reaching out to that audience. And we're also going to be building a new show, which is going to be Latin Live with Mauricio Mejia, a little bit different of Mauricio Mejia Live and me bringing entrepreneurs and different people from throughout the nation and around the world. We're going to focus on Latin Live. Is going to be more focus on celebrities. Right now, we're working on some pretty big celebrities to be interviewing on this show. So more details are going to be coming out. But starting next week, I'll be broadcasting Mauricio Mejia Live on Facebook, YouTube, and Latin Live on their platform. So look it up on Facebook or on our social media handles. It could be either We Are Latin Live Official. Just Google it. You'll find it and join the family. Again, I want to thank last week our very special guest celebrating our 10th episode, Stedman Graham. Again, he's a friend, mentor, business partner, and I'm looking forward to launching the Identity Leadership program here in the Silicon Valley. So again, we're broadcasting live downtown San Jose, heart of the Silicon Valley. Yes, we are the heart of the Silicon Valley. There's some people like to debate that, whether it's Palo Alto or San Jose. We are the heart. So I'm very excited to bring on this next guest, and she's got an amazing story. And I'm excited even more because she's one of my good friends, and actually a person that I respect very highly in this community. And that she kicks down knowledge and teaches me. So I'm always open-minded to learning from people and learning from just from others. This person, Chandra Brooks, has been an amazing influence on things that I've done here in the community, and as well as moving forward. In the last year and a half, we've shared a lot of great ideas and worked together. And I want to give her a big shout out and thank you for continuing to be a very strong woman of influence, and also for her Powerhouse Academy and what she's doing in the community and how she's building women in this world and in the community. And she's got big dreams, big focus. We think alike, so I completely support where the direction that she's going. And Chandra, if you're watching, I hope you're watching because you got one of your students that's we're breaking her in today. Where she's I'm a little concerned of what I'm going to be doing talking. I said, you don't be concerned because you come from a very professional and very skilled environment. So welcome to the hot seat. Before we bring on the special guest, I want to thank my two sponsors, Juicalize. Elizabeth Diaz, an amazing entrepreneur, young woman here in the Silicon Valley. She's got an amazing story. She's going to be a guest eventually on my show. But for now, she's one of my sponsors. I drink her juice every day. She's got some amazing different versions of it. You can go to juicalize.com and you can pre-order. Her stuff sells out. So once it's sold out, guys, and you get kicked off to the next week. The other one that I want to say thank you to very much, and this is the second week, is my new, I'm a guy. I like to take care of myself. And guys out there, you guys got to take care of yourselves. I started this new, I didn't start it. I got brought in, and I also got sponsored by Arbonne on my it's a men's skincare. They have other stuff for women, all kinds of different stuff. Obviously, I'm gonna do the skincare for men, and I just this morning I used the scrub, shaved everything, got all dolled up for the show because got to represent. Got to give big shout out to my girl Mina, who Mina will be on the show July 22nd, and so upcoming entrepreneur. She's a hustler. She's down. She's really she's got an amazing story as well. So everyone that's going to be on my show has got an amazing story behind, and I feel that it's important that they continue to do what they're doing and share their stories so that it can inspire others. So, with all that said, I'm excited to bring this amazing human being, woman, strong woman, entrepreneur, founder, and CEO of her own company called Intentional Leadership. It's executive coaching. And one of the other things that catches my attention is that she's a champion of people. So earlier today, while we were prepping, I had the opportunity to speak with her, and I said, "Hey, I want to know more about it." And these are the things that we're going to talk about. So, with no more delays, I want to bring on board Leena Mendoza. So, give me a second here. Leena, how are you? Huh? See, that's why you're on the show, because you bring that heat, you bring that energy, you bring the excitement, and again, I'm excited to have you here, and all eyes are on you now. So I talked about a little bit of some of the background that you have, and the fact that you also worked with a very powerful woman here in the Silicon Valley, Chandra Brooks. You went through her academy and so forth, but let's just dive right into it. I've branded you here on the show, and it's part of your background. Entrepreneur, founder and CEO of your own company called Intentional Leadership. You're an executive coach, and then my favorite, which just makes me smile because I feel that I'm a champion of the people as well. Explain to us, talk to us, give us a little background. San Jose native, right? Or give me the background.
Awesome. So I'm actually a transplant here into Silicon Valley, and I'm grateful to network and have built some incredible relationships with you and Chandra, and just amazing people because it's definitely a very cutthroat environment, right? And so one thing about the Silicon Valley is that it's not only the heart of, San Jose is the heart of the Silicon Valley, but it's also the heart of the decisions that are made for the entire world. And so I think people don't realize that. And it is a very wealthy area, very beautiful city, but a lot of decisions stem right here from the Silicon Valley. And so that can definitely be intimidating. So I came out here, took a senior management position working for the government, but I definitely have had the entrepreneur spirit for a very long time. Over 20 years of experience teaching and providing professional development. So I've been a professor for college for a few years, and then really customizing those trainings to help advance people of color so that they can be in the senior management to the C-suite executives. And so it's very important that we have the tools, tips, and techniques so that we can understand what it takes to navigate to the top, but also hold our position, use our voice, and make sure that we're advocating for ourselves all the way, and then our leadership branding that's required. And so I believe that people of color might not understand what's required, how to use our voice appropriately, and then what does corporate culture expect, and then how to still maintain through all that. So it's been an honor to serve the Silicon Valley, and then really expanding my perspective to the global level. I mean, I meet people from all over the world. And how can you do that? Definitely during COVID-19 on LinkedIn and during our Zoom calls. So it's been an honor to serve in that capacity. And I love that you and I can definitely connect on championing the people, because I know you and I spoke at Facebook back in October. And so really it's about advancing our community, right? And really wanting our community to do better, offering jobs, offering opportunities, and bridging that gap where they might not be able to have that opportunity. And so we're able to do that successfully and consistently. And I think that's what definitely kind of really can show and brand our hearts as well. And we're able to share that with our community, which I'm really proud of.
Man, you just brought some heat right now. So where do we start? Yeah. So talk to me about this professor. Where were you teaching, and give us a little example of what were you teaching when you were a professor?
So I taught professional development to college kids, and so they're college life skills as well as career advancement. And so really what happens, whether you're a college student or a high school student, or all the way to a CEO, is really there are some similarities. And so what is it required for you to have a seat at the table. What is the professional demeanor? What is the vernacular required? There's a levels of leadership that are required at each level, and we need to learn that. And so we need to learn how to speak and how to articulate kind of our professional demeanor, right? And so,
Yes.
we got to be cool. We still got to have that professional swagger. So it's been an honor to do that. And so Fresno City College, I would teach there. I also taught a lot of workshops at Fresno State, and then Reedley College, another school called Madera College. And then I ended up brokering a lot of work. So I'm currently teaching as well this summer to their professional development courses to 16 and 17-year-old students. My youngest college student is 13 years old. And so we had a program in Fresno where we started kids in college as they were freshmen in high school. So those students that was able to be part of their program, they just graduated with their associates and their high school diploma at the same time, class of 2020.
It's crazy you talk about that, because growing up in Los Angeles, I had one of my neighbors. I remember when I was in high school, he's like, hey, you can start taking college classes during while you're going to high school, and by the time that you graduate high school, you could be getting your 2-year degree from a junior college. And I was like, I didn't understand. Obviously, I was young and I didn't understand that, and I wanted to party and have a good time and be be young, right? But that's interesting to see that you just mentioned that, and that's something that we could probably build off of. I think that education right now is with the way the world is changing now, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for the younger generation to start doing that so that when they are graduating, they hit the ground running, and they can jump into the universities, 4-year universities already with 2 years under the belt. So imagine you're graduating 16 years old from high school, and you have your AA, and then you jump into you're finishing your 2 years in a university. And so you're now 18, 19 years old,
right?
And you're already into the world. That's kind of crazy, but it's doable, and it makes sense, especially with the way that technology is moving as fast as it is, and the learning capabilities that the younger generation has. That's amazing. So I love it. And then you talk about it like you've been doing this for so many years. I mean, you must have started when you were a child too. So what's going on around here? I mean, you're holding it down pretty well here. I like that. That's awesome. Give us a little background about yourself. I mean, family wise, influences. What triggered that entrepreneurial spirit in you that woke you up? I mean,
absolutely. So, I just can't see something and not see a bigger opportunity. And so, my mom has a 3rd grade education, and so she's so I'm from Thai. I'm from Thai, Laos, and Vietnam, because I'm born in Bangkok, Thailand. And my mom, she's Asian, and so she just sells she's having candy, or she'll sell your clothes back to her, and you'll be like, oh God, thank you so much. So my mom is definitely a hustler, and and she told me a very profound thing. And so she said, honey, you speak English, and based on that, you should be a millionaire. And she goes, just that. Right. Wow. And it makes sense. And so
I'm gonna write that. That's a good one right there. I'm gonna quote that, and then when you see that, I'm like, yeah, I know where that came from. Wow, that's
right.
Awesome. She was hustling. She was entrepreneur because, again, times were different back then. So the culture, the environment makes it creates that drive that you need. No different than what it did for me. And I'm sure you've heard my story, or did you read my book?
Yeah, I haven't read the book. I have to buy it and read it. So
I'm gonna give you a gift for being on the show. I'm gonna sign one for you, and I'm gonna send it to you, and I want you to read it. You'll get an understanding of my environment is what created my part of the good and the bad, because it gave me the drive of not wanting to be growing up in poverty, and gave me the drive to maneuver in and out of the different pitfalls that life throws at you sometimes.
Right.
So
absolutely.
Nice. Well, tell us more. I mean, talk to me more about this. And so your mom kind of turns on that switch. What's the next thing? And I mean, you go through you become this. You obviously you go through the teaching part, but what really takes you to that where enough is enough, and I want to do more.
So I have a mom who's Asian, a father who's Hispanic, and so my father, I remember him just definitely saying, he said, all you have to do is have a friend who has $1 million. He goes, and the world is your playground. So he immediately taught me that as a young kid. And so he doesn't remember saying that, but I always remember that. And so we were driving down a road 384 from a small town where like he grew, and he said, I want to buy all this. And I was like, oh my God, is he smoking? Like, what's going on? So, and I was like both sides of the road. And so later on, he started to buy his properties, and I never thought that was different until a friend of mine goes, does he have a vacation home? And I'm like, no, he lives in both homes. And so really understanding the real estate investment mentality, but not understanding it on the investment side, just like, isn't this normal? Right. And so definitely coming from both parents coming from a humble background. My father, having heard some stories about having just beans for lunch. Like there's no carne asada or anything like that. That's like if you have a little bit of money. So definitely that humble background for my parents. And so the entrepreneur side is just always seeing that opportunity on a higher level. So if I see a security guard, I immediately want to explain to him how he can have his own company. I'm like, did you know I just can't help.
I am the same way. I'm like, ouch. I know, because we want to see more from people.
Right.
The world is it's in your hands. It's amazing. I've always told people, you only live once on this planet. Why not give it all you got? Right. One of my favorite speakers is David Goggins. David Goggins, have you heard of David Goggins? Yeah. He shares a story about him dying and then going up to heaven, and God has a book, and he tells him, he explains to him that this is who you were. And the guy's like, no, that's not who I am. He goes, yeah. He goes, because you failed in trying. And that just resonates, because sometimes people just, their fire goes out and they give up, and they give up trying. And that's just something that in me, even the thought just makes my stomach hurt.
Yep.
I'm never gonna give up. I'm just not. I've had mentors that said, Mauricio, you are going to die trying and fighting and always. And I said, that's my DNA. That's who I am. So I think that's the excitement here. That's why we're gelling right now. So good. Tell us more. I mean, so tell me about your intentional leadership. What's behind that? What's the goal? And how do people sign up? How do they get involved with you? Give us some background on that.
Awesome. So I started intentional leadership specifically to advance people of color so that they would not only advance the senior leadership, also the C-suite executive. And so what I found was that, especially coming out here to the Bay Area, I was like, no way that we're still having that problem of advancing into, management and supervisory. And then that's not even true. And so I went to Stanford conference and also seeing different arenas. And I noticed that there were no Black and brown. And they were like, we're diverse. And I'm like, Asian. I'm like, but Black and brown, where are you at? And so very uncomfortable for me. So that's just definitely been a part of my background, and seeing that we call the imposter syndrome, being the only female entering the room, definitely typically being the only minority in the room, but really equipping our community, our minority community, and our people of color of the tools that are required. And so I know that a lot of people have gone through the experience of not, maybe they got rejected, or maybe they didn't, they were so told they weren't qualified. And so they are qualified, but how do they navigate through that process? And so that's exactly what I do. So I just finished entrepreneur leadership. And so my students are very successful. Some of them already doubled and tripled their income. And so and it's just
can you give us an example? Like, and it doesn't have, not a specific, give us an approximate, like someone that starts at X amount got to X amount. How does that, and what is it that you trigger? Because one of the things that I understand and that I've seen in business is, once you change the mindset of someone, the world changes, because Absolutely. Now you're looking at it from a different lens, and now you're either looking at the glass half full or half empty. One of my best friends and mentors says, Mauricio, he goes, I don't look at it either way. I just get a smaller glass. So tell us, I mean, what kind of results, monetize wise, what does it look like?
Right. So I'm very grateful, because the people that I attract are already on point. And so they're not rookies. So I'm going to say that out front.
Good. Yeah.
So and I say that because I don't expect people to think like, oh, if I join her program, I'm going to have overnight success. There's nothing overnight about success. It's a building block. So if you believe that, you can read Mauricio's book and understand that there's foundational bases that you need to know. And so so specifically, one of the clients is in real estate, and I think I had connected with you with him. So he didn't just jump right into real estate and the whole COVID-19, and he wasn't reactive. And so watching him through that process, him having to understand what he needed to do to get on that digital platform immediately, he needed to hire. And he started his podcast, and then, just understanding. So it was just interesting to see what you would normally have an open house, maybe 20 people, now having 1,000 people in a virtual, and then selling it within a day or two. Right.
Yeah.
And there's no way that would happen in pre-COVID-19. And
Right.
so, and then doubling, he just did it. He did a great job. Another student already had 4 lines of business, 4 lines already coming into the class. Again, leaning towards a digital platform, understanding how social media can then expand you on a global level. Her hiring, so people both hired a team so that they could expand. So one thing I definitely drive home with leaders is you're going to have to build out and you're going to build up, so that you can do your gifts, focus on the gifts that you bring to the table, and you can make more money because of that. So
I agree. I agree 100% with what you're saying, and I believe those are similar philosophies with me. You want to build out wide, and then once you build out your foundation, and that people are solid and serious, then you start to take them vertical. The other part is that I don't mind working with the young or the beginners, but as long as their mindset is strong and that they have the dedication to work. I'm an open book. I love to share ideas. It's fulfilling to do that and to help others grow. But for me at the same time is I don't want to waste my time. I want to make sure that you're serious and you're ready to go, and that you don't just come in one way, opportunity without reciprocating. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to be able to give back to the community or give back to our team. And I know that you have I'm going to assume that part of the whole champion of the people is that you like to give back to your community, to the community. Okay. All right. We got a couple people in here that are jumping on. We got Zaira Ramos, who I've interviewed on the show, and she did amazing. So she's here. She's all, give us some tips. And then Adriana Michelle, she was a lifesaver last week for me while Stedman. Would you watch the show when I had Stedman last week?
I did. I think the last one I watched was the Sunsets of Shaw.
So it was just crazy last week. My I've done over 30 shows, all different types of shows, and on this show, of course, it's Murphy's Law. The internet decides to go out and the computer decides to shut down. So thank God, Adriana, thank you very much again. She jumped in. She's a producer. She's an anchor over in the Midwest in Wisconsin, and she hits me up on my text message. She says, "Hey, tell Stedman to keep talking because he's still on." So I'm improvising back in, on the back end, thinking, all right, I went back into my nightclub days, packed house, and in the middle of the night, and the sound system goes off, and you're like, oh, whoa, what do we do? So I kept it cool, and then when I got back on, I was like cool, but nobody saw. My shirt was soaked in sweat because I was like sweating it in the back, but we pulled it off, and that's part of what life is and business is too. Sometimes you get hit and you got to react. You gotta pivot, and those are some of the things that, like, we're talking about COVID-19 right now. There's going to be a pre-COVID-19 and post-COVID-19. The people that obviously were not. It's normal going into before COVID-19. COVID-19 comes in, and what I call is the great equalizer. It slows everybody down, brings everybody down to earth, and now the people that were ahead, or however you may feel like, oh, this person is ahead, now they're slowing down. They're forced to slow down, and you're now at a point where, okay, I can catch up, I can compete now, or I can recalibrate. Stedman taught me, really got me thinking. This one is, Mauricio, you're recalibrating yourself. Now you're able to catapult yourself to another level. And I've seen, just through my experiences of 2008, we're reliving, for us that are a little bit on the older generation, we're reliving a portion of 2008, and so we have some experience. We know how to pivot and kind of navigate through these landmines. So that's what we got to do, right? Entrepreneurs, you do it, and you get caught in some crossfire. You got to figure out, how do I navigate and move around this thing so that I can continue to move forward. Have you experienced some of those pitfalls, or were you, like, hey, it hit the fan now? We got to figure out how do we dig our way out of this, or crawl our way out of it?
Absolutely. So most of my career has been about having some sort of drama or hitting some sort of landmine. And so I remember mentioning that to a lot of, it was a training and specifically with women who are on boards. And so they're on these 12 billion, $20 billion corporation boards. So we're talking about our value proposals. And what I said was, oh, my career always kind of gave me this like drama or poo-poo platter, as we call it. And then I had to make like chocolate cake out of it. And they were like, yeah. And so I
And then
said,
you have to eat it, you know?
yeah. And they're like, there's a 1.4 million missing. Could you fix that? And I'm like, I'm sorry, how much money is missing? And they're like, oh, please don't mention anything. And so I'm like, I don't want to go to jail. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah, like the guy that just got recently. You heard about that on the story about the guy that the $2 billion on some credit card thing out of Europe. They can't find $2 billion, and so they finally arrested him. And you're like, oh, okay. So anyway, go ahead. I'm just a
so
little some.
right. So definitely has always prepared me for entrepreneurship in that way. And so I have consulted many people. Where do you go? Yeah, I think we're there. They're missed. In regards to like just maybe how to navigate. So there's constantly bombs. And I think kind of that helped because my dad used to work for the Nuclear Defense Agency. So he always taught us that to land on our feet. Like there's no drama, like you're Mexicana, like échale, land on your feet. Like you're gonna do fine. And so I think really having that mentality of make it happen, don't give up, and then blood, sweat, and tears. You have no choice. You cannot turn back. So I started my company right in COVID-19, and I kind of had a moment of self-doubt, thinking like, what am I doing? Because other peers that I had, they're like, Leena, like you have such a high income. Like, are you crazy? And I'm like, yeah, I'm hecka crazy. Like, yeah, I'm like, I'm with it. I'm like, you're limiting on me on what I'm doing. I'm like, and I'm unhappy. So yeah, I want to be happy, and I want no cap on my opportunities. And every day is an opportunity to create, and every day is an opportunity for you to make a decision. And so I love your tagline where it says, right? It says, decide, commit, execute. Every day you have opportunity. This is a choice you make to win and to succeed. This is not just like, oh, maybe today I'll make it. I'm like, no, you have to make it. So you have control over that. And you've been equipped to do it. And really, as an entrepreneur, it's not about like, maybe I'll make it happen today. It's like, no, you have to make it happen. So yeah, it's a good thing.
The choice is yes or yes. There is no maybe or no, because it's just not in us. And I think that you're right. I mean, it's just once I've shared the story before. 2008 taught me how to become a sniper. Pre 2008, I was very arrogant. I was living a very fast lifestyle, being in the nightlife industry for 25 years. 2008, 9, and 10 really grounded me to the point where 10, 11, 12, I was homeless. And then 13, 14 is when I really, and nobody knew it because obviously there was this perception. But I became vulnerable to the point where I can share the story now. And I've learned my lessons from it. And that's part of what my book, Smoke and Mirrors, was about, is sharing my vulnerability and the fact that, hey, guys, if I can do it, you can do it. And if I can do it and lose it and do it again, then really it just boils down to your mindset and the fact that you're never going to give up. And that's just something that is just, everybody that's joining us today has a common denominator here. We don't give up. We're constantly on the go, and we want more in life. But we also understand that in order to want more, we have to dedicate, and we have to work our asses off harder because it's just required of it. Stedman said it best last week. We're all equal because we all have the same amount of time. It's what do we do with that time? During this COVID-19, some people have decided to kind of wait around and see what the government's going to do or what solutions are going to come out. I've launched 3 companies while under this COVID-19 now. Brand new staffing company called CalX. I got another company with 2 other partners. We can't talk about it yet. And a third company that's coming out. And then not only that, but the show here. This was launched because what am I going to do sitting at home just thinking? So I thought of a show, Mauricio Mejia Live. Hello. And you started doing, I started seeing your podcast, your lives, and that's inspiring because I'm thinking, hey, if all these ladies can make this thing happen and just jump on and have the kind of influence that they have, Mauricio can do it too. You know, I
Right.
see right here we have Constant Carter. She's just joined us. She said, "Hey, Constant, if you're watching still, you're an inspiration. What you do is an inspiration. The people that you bring are an inspiration." And last week she had a show with Chandra, and again, Chandra and her were like fire. I mean, it was straight fire. I was like, ladies, we're gonna do it. We're gonna have a three-way web interview here, and it'd be amazing to have all that fire on this show. So got to give a shout out to my boy Marshall Jones too, that just joined us. He's
Awesome.
going to be joining us soon. So Marshall, pay attention, man, because this is the script here.
Absolutely. And so really, so one concept I'll share with you as an entrepreneur. So when you have a job, you get paid by hour. When you have a salary, you get paid to think. So the higher you go, right, you're getting paid 100, 200, 500, whatever. You get paid to think. You don't get paid to do. So when you're an entrepreneur, right? Because
Wow.
people are like, we don't pay you for that, honey. Like they go, you know what I do? I go, we don't pay you for that. We pay you to think. So I need you to think. And so it's definitely a different level.
Wow.
Entrepreneurship is really so, and this is how I condense it. What you made in a year, you'll make in a month. What you make in a month, you'll make in a day. And so, and you're just going to learn how to condense time.
Hold on, I'm going to write that one down here because that was fire. No, I agree with you. Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So,
you're firing me up over here.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I can't. So those are very like low like estimations when I'm talking about some of the clients that we were working with, and and I say it because it's a very humble number, and so they're going through their process and so forth. I have another client who is writing his book. He made a very strong income, high level, already has his doctorates. Went through a layoff, and then now he's already doing contracts. And he's like, I'm just going to follow your lead. I'm like, what you made in a year, you'll make in a month. Don't trip. So,
yeah, don't trip. And sometimes all it needs is that I don't want to call it a cheerleader, but you just need that push, and that's what we bring. Let me ask you, and you don't have to answer it, but I'm not shy to share what my goals are. But
sure.
What is your goal? What is your financial goal? And don't say financial freedom because that's bullshit. All right, I'm gonna just say what is the what's the goal? What are you shooting for?
So my goal is to make sure that I have economic growth for my clients of over $1 million.
Okay.
Like when I first started out, I said that I wanted to double my income when I started from Mountain View, but I believe I'm already on track for that. So I think hitting $500,000 would be closer to that. In reality, I'll give you a quick example. And so I just finished a contract. I'm right in the middle of wrapping up a $7,000 contract, and it's not a lot. But I work with two other partners, hence why collaboration is important. And just that estimation is 150,000. So I just posted that on Chandra's Facebook because I added that up. I'm like, that's a 94% increase. I'm like, holla!
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit of work, but honestly, that contract will be in less than 2 weeks. It's not like a year, like it's 2 weeks.
Right. There's some people, I was sharing with someone, was it yesterday? We were talking about dollar amounts and we said something about $30,000-$40,000. And I'm like, that's for some people, that's what they make in a year.
Yep.
That's sometimes some people take 2 years to make.
Yep.
For me, it's, I've set my goals very high because I've been there, I've done it. And I continue to, in order to get there, though, I have to continue to surround myself by great people and continue to learn because the world is always changing and there's always different things that you can pick up from others. My goal, and I was on track for it for 2020, was to hit 100 million. And then by 2021 was to be in that $1 billion categories. Right. Now with COVID, obviously things have slowed down, but it's not the end of the world. I told one of my business partners today, very big group. They're managing over $500 million worth of assets and money. And I said to him, he's like, hey, it's been a rough first 2 quarters. And I fired back at him and I said, it's not how we start, it's how we finish the year. So we got 2 more quarters to go. So right now we're like at halftime right now. So we got to continue to be strong because we're going to finish strong. We're going to kick some ass, and everybody that I want around us, I want us to be on that high impact level of thinking and having that strong mindset because, I have zero tolerance for anyone that comes in and becomes that downer, and because it takes too much energy to try to entertain that. Now,
Right.
I'm very and I think we all are. We have empathy for people. We have compassion. We also, I know that I understand right now where the world is at. Not completely. I would never. I don't think that I could ever understand completely, because there's the world is ever changing, and there's always different situations in the world that we have to deal with. And I'm sure that you've dealt with things like that, and
Right.
you're being affected by by where the world is at right now. So my focus is, yeah, it's still here, but I also have to understand that I have to slow down
Right.
so that I can have that moment as well, to be compassionate, to not just be, oh, I'm all about business. No, I'm out here supporting the causes that are currently happening right now. I mean,
Right.
a couple of my businesses got hit. Actually, all my businesses got hit because of the downturn, and
Yep.
because of just where the mindset is at. So we have to take a moment back and feel that pain as well.
Right.
And but not just from the business side, but from the just from being human.
Yep.
We have to take a step back and feel that human feeling, and just be like,
Right.
man, what can we do to
Right.
make an impact, a positive impact, moving forward? So,
Right.
what are your thoughts on right now what's currently happening as well? Give us a 50,000 view. You don't have to be specific on anything either.
So, definitely this pandemic with COVID-19, it's very life threatening. But we know that is impacting specifically more to our Black and brown community, and so that is already detrimental to us. So we are, a lot of our community is from underserved community, meaning a humble or poor background, right? So I don't like to use the word low income. I think that's not educated way to say that. And then also on top of that, now we're, going through racism. And so it's really what it really has acclimated more because of the things that have happened on the news, social media. It makes that, brings that lens to us where we can see things more clearly. And so talking about that and making sure that we provide more of an equitable playing ground, going back to the basics of being respectful and civil to one another. And then also, I think people are realizing like they don't have to count on a job, because a lot of people got laid off. Entrepreneurship is an opportunity now more than ever. And then also because Black and brown community now see, right, like maybe we shouldn't count on the man. And so I'm seeing it, because I've seen people get pissed. So
Yeah.
they're like, bye, Felicia. And so they're upgrading their lives, and then using their voice. And so I'm very impressed with our community using their voice positively. And so people might kind of, banter back and forth about the writing and so forth. But, really, I believe it's not really fair for us to judge in that way. But a lot of things have changed for the positive. So I see people who I never thought they would stand up for themselves or our community really take that leap in leadership and use their voice for good, and have inspired action. So for me, I see it as positive. It's just so much pressure, I think, from unemployment to protesting, and then also the pandemic. It's just all those three crises going on at the same time. And understanding that that's real. And so I just saw something last night in the Netherlands has a 35% of their country has unemployment, 35%. And no one, once you leave the country, you can't come back in. So I don't know if they have any COVID-19 cases yet, but for the most part, I heard for quite a while they had 0 cases because they were a real tight with not allowing people come in the community. So but they are there for their community, and I'd love to see the United States have that kind of approach where each person counts, and that they really want to take care of you through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so I think we're not there yet in the United States. So we have a lot of opportunity to grow, but each person in each household has opportunity to help. So you don't have to look at the government as the answer for all. You can look at your own hands and feet and help your neighbors. So it's a good time.
There's a famous quote by JFK. I obviously wasn't born when it happened, but he shared that famous quote. It's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country.
Right.
It's not what you can do for your people. I don't even want to chop this one up, but it's more what can you do for yourself in order to uplift and pull yourself out. You gotta wake up. We all gotta wake up eventually. We gotta grow up. And we got to keep activated. We got to keep ourselves moving. We got to find those leverages that motivate us. For me, my biggest motivation in my life was my mother. My mother was really the one that planted the seeds of entrepreneurship. My mother was a hustler. I mean, she had to do whatever it took. And it seems like we have a common here. It's obviously your mom she woke up that spirit in you. My mother woke up that spirit in me. So I dedicate my success to my mother, and every time that I say it, I even feel it in my heart, in my chest, in my spirit, because again, I'm doing it for that's my purpose.
Right.
I also have a younger sister. I want to make my family happy. I want to make my children happy as well too. And I want to leave something behind for them because I know I'm not going to be here forever.
Right.
Unless I clone myself, I don't know. But while I'm here, I'm going to do whatever I can in all my powers to make sure that I make an impact and that I share. And that's one of the other things too that I love to do. And I always tell people, hey, you want to talk business with me? Boom, let's talk business. You want to talk about drama and all that stuff? I'll talk to you later. So I love to have those constructive conversations.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you, what are some of the books maybe that you've read, or who are some of the people that you listen to that keep that influence and that motivation going in you?
So I definitely read the Bible. And so sometimes you'll see me post scripture and people are like, oh, you must read it all the time. I don't read it all the time as I would like to. But I know what I continue to learn what is helpful to me. And so I share it because it seals the promise for prayer. Also John Maxwell, he's a leadership guru. I think and definitely being mentored by others. And so it's not a book, but I think sometimes definitely human beings are very more important than books. And so
Right.
I know hearing your story back in Facebook, I was like, was so blown away that you were just not only authentic and approachable, but also very like real. Like you were just like real BS, like no BS aside, like this is a real deal. Like you get what you get. Like I've been there through hell and back. There's nothing you can do to me. Do you need me? Give me a call. Like I was just,
I just never want to sugarcoat it. At the end of the day, you're going to get authenticity from me, and you're going to get the real. Why? Because I've been there, I've done it, I've lived it. I've had an amazing life so far. I'm blessed. I thank God every morning. I like to read a version of the Bible, and I'd love to. Again, I have my conversations every morning with God, and I thank Him every day because I just know that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Him, and of course my mom and my father and my family, and I thank everybody. So, and those are the things that I'm just very thankful for having in my life, and then the experiences. I talk about the experiences in my past, and I don't hold on to I process it, and then I use that as my energy to catapult me to keep moving forward, because you can either cry about it or you can either learn from it. And when you learn from it, you learn to not do it again, and then you don't have to go through that emotion. So I like it. So let me ask you, if people want to reach out and they want to participate with you, how do they reach you, or what's the deal here? What do we got?
So I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. I use TikTok to be more funny because, as you know, I'm a little bit more I have to have fun. I mean, just work isn't work, right?
By the way, I do love some of your TikToks, and that's what actually got my attention. I was like, you know what? I got to put her on the show because I love the fact that you could be silly and okay with it. Like, because some of those silly things are the ones that get the most attention. You try to tell somebody, hey, I want to change your mindset, and they're like crickets. But you do some silliness, and all of a sudden the shit blows up, and you're like, oh man, like I need to do more silly stuff to get more attention. But that's so basically look you up, Leena Mendoza, at pretty much every handle. You probably have it: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all the, and TikTok and all that other good stuff. Tell me more about your champion of the people. Talk to me about that. What's that mean to you? Because it's in your resume or in your description of you. Share with me. I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. So just, for me, it's really helping people. So I always say from your left to your right. So the neighbors that you have, making sure that you invest well back into your community. So back home, I was working with students and working with undocumented citizens. And so a few years back, maybe about 10 years ago, I found out that DACA students weren't given scholarships or any funding. So now DACA has, we now have the DACA law where you have to support students, but that wasn't the case that many years ago. And so, they were like, oh, actually my tax advisor goes, I don't know if you know, but people who are undocumented don't get support from school. I'm like, he goes, how are you Mexican? And I know that. I'm like, I don't know that. Like, I need to know that. And so then, wanting to help and support our community in that way, just and seeing homeless people, anything to help uplift our community. So I've seen lots of people who are unemployed. I can have some of that background, seeing people from welfare to work to, mental health, conditions. So wanting them to see them to thrive in our community here in the here in the Silicon Valley. So, so I partnered with Dr. Linda Laura and I contribute to her food drive. And so that specifically, it helps those who are undocumented, who work in the fields. And so they meet on Tully Road every other Tuesday. So far she's able to collectively, so with all the contributions, with over 2,000 families. So nice. She's able to, buy a truck for $550 worth of food. And then, she doesn't ask you anything. She just says, how many households are in your car? So if you say 3, she's going to fill up your car for 3 households. She doesn't ask anything else. And so when she told me, I said, what do you mean they have to have documentation? How do you prove that you're hungry? And she goes, exactly. I got it. That doesn't make sense to me. And so, and you got to know what your surroundings are, because although people, understand the Silicon Valley, tall buildings, all the top Fortune 500, think about our surrounding rural communities as well. Those who are working in the fields, who are feeding us. And yet we're like, we want to ignore that. They're mostly impacted by the COVID-19. And so remembering to be humble in our heart and remember to be a good leader. So that's a strong value system that I make sure that each of our students learn. So I say, lead well, give well. And so, because you can't invest. If you don't invest, you can't be in my program. So you can't keep all your money because you can't die with it. So you have to be able to give that out. You have to be an investor in that way. You can have a great investment portfolio, but if you don't give back to the community, you can't be in my program. So
give me that quote again. Lead well,
give well.
Give well. I love that. Just so you know, I'm a big advocate of the homeless community as well. I work with Pastor Scott Wager here in San Jose in the local area. Awesome. I do 2 parts. I like to work where we do the cleanups of these homeless encampments, because it also becomes a health hazard for not only for the homeless community, but also for the surrounding areas. Right. And then 2, I work with groups where we can find food and donate food and give. I know that my restaurant has donated a lot of, at times we'll donate food for these types of causes. And I want to offer that as well to you. That if I can participate, you just let me know, and we'll show up and get into action through donation or something like that. And if we have the time, we'll also participate. To me, the homeless community is or just the term homeless is very dear to me, in the sense that I've experienced it. It's something that, it's a reminder, so that when my head does kind of get like, when I get like, oh man, or a little, sometimes I have to ground myself, and I have to remind myself, hey, don't forget where you came from, and don't forget to give back. And that's definitely something that I'm very, very big on. It's I think that I've grown the most in my life and my career and in my leadership when I learned to give more than what I was receiving. And it was just natural. It was not something that I was practicing or looking for. It just, when I realized that, I was like, man, it felt good too. And just being a part of the community, right now, sometimes with, kind of this, like, it's just kind of like what happened, the world slowed down, and then all of a sudden everyone's looking around. You're like, wow, where were we? Where was it? What bubble was everyone living in? So very cool. Well, I love that. I'm going to be mindful of your time. If you want to, kind of give us your last words, your closing here. What is it that you want people to know Leena Mendoza for? Not only Leena Mendoza as a person, as an entrepreneur, and your business, and kind of give us in a nutshell. What is it you want to be remembered by?
Absolutely. So on a personal level, the most important thing I think I want to be remembered as the lady who prayed for lots of people. And so I'm definitely a strong woman of faith, and I firmly believe in miracles. And so on a professional level, I would definitely say, so to whom much is given, much is required. So where are you at and where do you need to be. And so I hope you do not return out of COVID-19 the same. And I hope that you take your gifts and acclimate where you're supposed to be to your full capacity, not only to serve your family, but to serve your community. And so you're made for so much more. And so use those gifts that you were given as a kid, and use them to do the right thing. And so if it's your desire to advance in career leadership, and advancement and so forth, I'm your girl. You definitely want to work with me in regards to executive career coaching, and then really going what we call with DJ Khaled, secure the bag. So I always talk about that because it's what's fair. And so there's nothing wrong with double and triple your income, because it's what you bring to the table. And so
That's right.
I love teaching people to get what they deserve. And so I am unapologetic about my gift when it comes to that. So I love negotiation, and I love to see people shine bright in that light. And so that's definitely my lasting message. And then, as I shared, is definitely about leadership, is about lead well, give well. And so this is the time for us to rise to that occasion in any capacity that you can give. So whether it's your time, treasure, or talent, extend that out. And so just to kind of remember, two hands, extend that out, extend your hands, and always, offer that to somebody. You never know how that could impact them positively, whether buy them a cake or food or cash. I mean, cash is always helpful. So,
Yeah.
it's not what they do with it, but it's really where your heart is at. So that's definitely my recommendation.
Well, I want to thank you for having such a big heart and such a giving heart. Because there's a difference when you have a big heart. Yeah, you can have a big heart, but when you put your heart into action and you give, then it's no different than having all this knowledge and not being able to share the knowledge. So I want to thank you for being an amazing human being. Again, when we talked earlier, the conversation is going to go based on how we interact, and there is no script here. This is why it's live, and I appreciate the fact that that you can open up and share your story, and then obviously be willing to give back. And that's part of my message as well. I have no problem in giving back to our community, and that's part of what the show is about. It's about bringing resources, networks, sharing. I just signed up 2 nights ago. I had a friend of mine that we grew up together down in Southern California, Edgar Miranda. He's part of a big network. I mean, this guy's a huge network of people, and he's like, Mauricio, I need you to sign up for this because I know you're a leader, and I wanted to expand into the Silicon Valley. But you're only going to be able to share this if you go through it so that you understand it. So immediately I signed up. It's a 3-day program. It's called LifeWorks, and it's gonna be an awesome experience. And I'll share with everyone as well so that other people can participate on it and continue to learn, because that's the only way we're going to be able to give back,
Absolutely.
is by learning more. And then I love what you said right now. People deserve there's no need to be apologetic about people's income or what they want to do. It's what they do with it when they have it. If they're doing it with intentions for themselves, then you can actually see those people real quick, and then you'll kind of sense, all right, I'm not going to invest my time. But those that you feel that are going to be givers and want to do more in life and give back, those are the ones that we want to continue to grow with and participate with. So I love where your heart's at. I love where the direction. Leena, I've already told you my door is always open for you on whatever I can do to share my network. And I have I got a big network that all we need to do is just kind of pick my brain, and then I can pinpoint. And if it can help you elevate you as a person, your business, your group, anything that you're involved in, please count me in, because that's just part of who I am, and I want to continue to be. So I want to thank you for being here tonight with us. Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. And I hope that you got something out of this, like I got, and everyone else that joined us. My mom joined us. I love you, Mom. She says, "Nice, Leena. That's the secret. God's first prayers turns into miracle blessings." So my mom over here already preaching. I love you, Mom. She's my number one fan. So if mom's not on, then if my mom's not on, then hey, the show didn't do well today. So but I want to say thank you to everybody else too. Angelica, who's on here. I don't know if you're still in Fresno or if you're now in Sacramento, but thank you for being here. Adriana Michelle from she's in Wisconsin. Thank you for being here with us too. We got my good friend Raj Nayar, who's an entrepreneur. Just everyone that's on here is just a bunch of entrepreneurs. So it's great to see, and even the people that watch and don't comment. thank you for joining us. And Leena, I'm going to let you get going because I know you got an evening. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening. Good night, and we'll talk soon again.
Okay, awesome. Have a good night.
All righty. Thank you. All right, guys, here we go. Man, what a great show coming off of last week. Want to thank Leena Mendoza for being with us tonight. Amazing human being with a big heart, and not only a big heart, but a giving heart, and that means a lot. And to everybody that joined us tonight, join the cause, participate, share, and let's make things happen, guys. So I want to wrap it up. I want to share with everyone that next week we're taking it to the next level. I'm very excited that we're going to be broadcasting on one of our businesses, our media company called Latin Live. You can log on to We Are Latin Live, and you can find us on Facebook, Latin Live Bay Area, Latin Live. We are on every major U.S. city. We do all the biggest shows and promotions for all the big Latino concerts across the United States. And now we're going to go as we're going through this whole COVID-19. We are getting creative, and I'm going to be launching a show in July, Latin Live with Mauricio Mejia, and I'm also going to be broadcasting my show, Mauricio Mejia Live, on Latin Live. So a lot of great things are coming up. I've gotten a lot of great phone calls from people that want to be on the show. A lot of great celebrities that are want to be on the show. I got a call from one of the agents. Snoop Dogg wants to be on the show. Banda MS. There's just a lot of great artists that are going to be showcased on this next version as we go into this new experiment. So I want to thank everyone that came out and watched tonight. I want to thank the people that have been with us in the past. I want to thank my two sponsors, Juicalize and Arbonne, and our upcoming guest next week. Amazing human being here in the Silicon Valley. We got Chandra Brooks. So next week, be on the lookout. We got Chandra Brooks, and I know that she's going to bring the fire. I know that she's going to bring her audience, and they're going to represent because if she can organize one of the largest women's movement marches here in the Silicon Valley, I expect us to break the internet next week with her. So Chandra Brooks, if you're listening, get ready, bring the heat because I'm excited to have you here next week with us. The following week in July, we're going to bring Alex Mejia, a good friend of mine, producer, has a lot of great talent, got a lot of great history to share in the Bay Area, was formerly with KNEL back in the original days. Good friend of mine, mentor, Marshall Jones. We're going to be bringing him. He's got a great story to share. And, again, a lot of great people, great talent that's going to be coming up in July. And then we got Mina Palavan, who's going to be on. She's my new partner in a new association that we're working together. And then finally, to wrap up in July, a good friend of mine, Tony B, producer, pioneer in the music industry and the nightlife industry. And I'm looking forward to having these people here. So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. Mauricio Mejia Live on Facebook and YouTube starting July 1st, next Wednesday, 7 p.m. We're going to be broadcasting on Latin Live, and I'm super, super excited about that. And on Latin Live, we got over 5 million active users, and we got over 300,000 followers on all of our social media platforms. So this show is about to get some steroids pumped into it, and it's going to definitely take off to a whole different level. And I'm just excited about it. And if it doesn't, we're going to make it get there. So either way, our trajectory is to take it to the next level. And I look forward to sharing this experience with all of you tonight. So thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful night. God bless you guys. Stay safe. Make sure that you take care of yourself and your family. And I'll catch you guys next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So those that don't know, it's California or New York, okay? All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Good night. I love you guys all. Thank you very much.